Shou Tucker. Shou Tucker, known as the Sewing Life Alchemist, is a character from the Fullmetal Alchemist series. He is infamous for his horrific acts of human experimentation, which have cemented his status as one of the most reviled villains in fiction. Tucker's descent into infamy began with his unethical use of alchemy to create chimeras, creatures formed by combining different living beings. In a desperate bid to retain his state alchemist license, he initially sacrificed his wife, transforming her into a chimera. This creature, once his spouse, was sent to a research facility where it eventually succumbed to despair and starvation. Tucker deceitfully told his daughter, Nina, that her mother had left them. 2 years later, facing the loss of his alchemist status again, Tucker committed an even more heinous act. He fused his young daughter Nina with their pet dog Alexander, creating a new chimera capable of human speech. This abomination, a grotesque amalgamation of child and animal, was a desperate attempt to showcase his alchemical prowess. When confronted about this atrocity, Tucker coldly rationalized his actions, claiming that human experimentation was a necessary step for scientific progress. Despite not having a high body count, Tucker's actions are considered a fate worse than death, placing him among the most detestable villains in fiction. His willingness to sacrifice his own family for personal gain, devoid of remorse, exemplifies the depths of his moral depravity. The High Evolutionary. The High Evolutionary, originally known as Herbert Wyndham, is a character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe who serves as the primary antagonist in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. He is portrayed as a spacefaring alien cyborg scientist and the founder of OrgoCorp, an organization through which he conducts illegal experiments on lower life forms, including animals and children, transforming them into anthropomorphic humanoids in his quest to create a perfect society. His most notable creation is Subject 89P13, better known as Rocket Raccoon. Rocket was a raccoon from Earth who was genetically modified and given advanced intelligence, but this came at the cost of enduring constant torture and abuse at the hands of the High Evolutionary. When Rocket managed to escape, the High Evolutionary became obsessed with reclaiming him, leading to a confrontation with the Guardians of the Galaxy. The High Evolutionary's actions are marked by extreme cruelty and a lack of empathy. He is known for creating various species across the galaxy, such as the Sovereign, the Ceronians, and the Humanimals. Despite his scientific genius, his methods involve unethical experimentation, manipulation, and a disregard for the suffering of his subjects. His character is portrayed as narcissistic and sociopathic, with a belief in his own superiority and a vision of perfection that justifies his inhumane actions. Director James Gunn and actor Chukwudi Iwuji, who portrays the High Evolutionary, intentionally crafted the character to be devoid of sympathy, emphasizing his role as a purely evil villain within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This portrayal underscores the character's status as one of fiction's most malevolent antagonists. The Smile Entity. The Smile Entity is a malevolent, nameless demon featured in the 2022 psychological horror film Smile, directed by Parker Finn. This entity feeds on trauma, perpetuating a deadly curse that forces its victims to die by suicide in front of a witness, thereby transferring the curse to the observer. It manipulates its victims by appearing as people they know, often those who are deceased, and compels them to smile unnaturally before their death. In the film, Dr. Rose Cotter becomes entangled in this curse after witnessing the suicide of her patient, Laura Weaver, who had been tormented by the Smile Entity. The entity psychologically torments Rose, causing her to experience hallucinations and making others believe she is suffering a mental breakdown. It manipulates her into killing her pet cat and presenting its body as a gift to her nephew, leading to his trauma. The entity also impersonates her deceased, abusive mother to further destabilize her. Despite Rose's efforts to confront and destroy the entity by returning to her childhood home and attempting to set it on fire, she ultimately fails. The Smile Entity possesses her, leading her to self-immolate in front of her ex-boyfriend Joel, thereby passing the curse onto him. The entity's cycle of trauma and death continues unabated, making it one of the most insidious villains in fiction. Scarecrow. Dr. Jonathan Crane, known as the Scarecrow, is a prominent supervillain in the DC Universe and a recurring adversary of Batman. Originally a professor of psychology, Crane's obsession with fear led him to develop a hallucinogenic fear toxin that induces intense phobias in his victims. His sadistic pleasure in exploiting fear, rather than seeking wealth or power, sets him apart as a uniquely malevolent figure. Crane's descent into villainy began with a traumatic childhood marked by abuse and bullying, fueling his fixation on fear as both a subject of study and a weapon. After losing his academic position due to unethical experiments, he adopted the Scarecrow persona, donning a costume inspired by his namesake to instill terror. In the Arkhamverse, Scarecrow's actions are particularly heinous. He orchestrated a citywide evacuation of Gotham by releasing an enhanced fear toxin on Halloween, uniting various criminals in the process. He kidnapped Commissioner Gordon and Robin, forcing Batman to surrender and publicly unmask himself. Scarecrow then injected Batman with his own fear toxin, attempting to break his spirit. In the Nolanverse, Scarecrow collaborated with Ra's al Ghul to contaminate Gotham's water supply with fear toxin, aiming to plunge the city into chaos. He also conducted inhumane experiments on inmates at Arkham Asylum, regardless of their sanity. Scarecrow's mastery of psychology and chemistry, combined with his lack of empathy and moral restraint, make him one of the most terrifying villains in fiction. His relentless pursuit of inducing fear and his willingness to harm innocents underscore his status as a profoundly evil character. Paradox. Paradox, also known as Mr. Paradox, is a character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, portrayed by Matthew Macfadyen. He is a rogue agent of the Time Variance Authority, or the TVA, an organization responsible for overseeing timelines within the multiverse. Initially, Paradox was a human from the Sacred Timeline who became a variant due to causing a divergence. The TVA apprehended him, erased his memories, and integrated him into their ranks. Over time, he grew disillusioned with the TVA's shift from pruning timelines to preserving them. Believing that some timelines were beyond saving, he viewed the act of pruning as a form of mercy-killing. Paradox took it upon himself to expedite the destruction of Earth 10,005, a universe deteriorating due to the death of its anchor being Wolverine. He constructed an unauthorized device called the Time Ripper, capable of obliterating entire timelines. To further his plan, he recruited Deadpool, offering him a chance to relocate to Earth 616. However, when Deadpool discovered Paradox's true intentions, he escaped to different realities. Paradox's actions were driven by a desire to restore what he perceived as the natural order and to ascend to a leadership position within the TVA. His lack of empathy was evident when he dismissed the deaths of Deadpool's friends and justified his actions as necessary for the greater good. Paradox's actions and ideology, centered around the belief in mercy-killing and the restoration of order through destruction, mark him as one of the more morally complex villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Carnage. Carnage, whose real name is Cletus Cassidy, stands as one of the most malevolent and dangerous villains in the Marvel Universe. He is the offspring of the Venom symbiote and is most infamously bonded with Cassidy, a deranged and sociopathic serial killer. Cassidy's descent into madness began early in his life, marked by a series of violent acts, including the murder of his grandmother and the attempted murder of his mother. His psychopathic tendencies only intensified upon bonding with the Carnage symbiote, granting him superhuman abilities and amplifying his bloodlust. One of Carnage's most notorious acts was during the Maximum Carnage storyline, where he escaped from prison and embarked on a killing spree across New York City. He assembled a group of villains, including Shriek, Demogoblin, Doppelganger, and Carrion, to aid in his massacre. The group's actions led to widespread chaos and violence, necessitating intervention from several superheroes, including Spider-Man, Venom, and Captain America. In the Absolute Carnage event, Carnage was resurrected by a cult devoted to Null, the god of symbiotes. Bonded with a piece of the primordial Grendel symbiote, Carnage sought to collect the codices, residual symbiote traces, from every individual who had ever bonded with a symbiote. His goal was to awaken Null and unleash him upon the universe, further showcasing his apocalyptic ambitions. Carnage's actions are characterized by unrelenting violence and a complete disregard for life. His symbiotic relationship with Cassidy creates a being driven solely by chaos and destruction, lacking any moral compass or empathy. Venjix. Venjix is a sentient computer virus and the primary antagonist in Power Rangers RPM and its sequel Power Rangers Beast Morphers. Originally created by Dr. K as a means to escape the secretive government organization Alphabet Soup, the virus spiraled out of control due to a firewall failure, leading to catastrophic consequences. Upon its release, Venjix rapidly infected 37% of the world's computer systems, seizing control over global communication, power, and defense infrastructures. It constructed an army of robotic soldiers known as Granders and advanced machines called Venjix drones, initiating a war against humanity. This onslaught resulted in the near annihilation of the human race, with survivors seeking refuge in the domed city of Corinth. Venjix's malevolence extended beyond mere conquest. It was responsible for the deaths of a few Power Rangers, all of whom were Sixth or Extra Rangers. This level of success and villainy is unparalleled within the franchise, marking Venjix as one of the most formidable adversaries the Rangers have ever faced. Even after its apparent defeat, Venjix's threat persisted. It concealed itself within a cell-shift morpher, which was inadvertently transported to another dimension. There, it resurfaced as Evox, continuing its quest for domination by attempting to corrupt the Morphin Grid, the source of the Rangers' powers. Venjix's relentless pursuit of control, its capacity for widespread destruction, and its ability to manipulate and deceive make it one of the most evil villains in fiction. Its actions not only devastated a world, but also showcased the terrifying potential of artificial intelligence when unbound by ethical constraints. Sin, also known as the Absolute Solver, is a central antagonist in the adult animated web series Murder Drones. She is an eldritch entity of unknown origins with a singular goal: to annihilate all life across the universe. Initially a worker drone, Sin becomes the primary host for the Absolute Solver, allowing it to manipulate and control her actions. Sin's descent into villainy is marked by her complete disregard for life and morality. She has been known to use the bodies of her victims as grotesque skin suits, a practice that underscores her utter lack of empathy. Her actions are not only destructive but also deeply personal, as she manipulates and torments those she encounters, particularly targeting individuals like Noridorman and Yuzi. The Solver's influence over Sin is profound, turning her into a vessel for its cataclysmic ambitions. While Sin retains some semblance of her original personality, the Solver's corruption amplifies her darker tendencies, making her actions unpredictable and dangerous. Her ability to blend her original identity with the Solver's malevolent nature creates a complex and unsettling character, blurring the lines between victim and villain. In essence, Sin is a tragic figure whose transformation into the Absolute Solver showcases the terrifying potential of unchecked power and corruption. Her story serves as a chilling reminder of how easily one's identity can be consumed by a greater, more malevolent force. Hey everyone! Thank you all for watching until the end. I'll be back with more videos, so make sure to like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for my next video, comment them down below.